Hey up guys, and welcome to the channel. I'm Jimmy, and today we're going to be looking at the psychic powers for the Shadowspear box set. So let's have a look at the Primaris Marines psychic powers. So starting with the Obscuration discipline, we have Shrouding. So Shrouding has a warp value of 6. If manifested, select a friendly Adeptus Astartes Phobos unit within 18 inches of the Psyker until the start of the next psychic phase. Enemy models can only shoot this unit if it is the closest target that is visible to them. So when I first read this, I thought to myself, oh, that'd be quite good to put on the Eliminators. But then when I got thinking, I always wondered what we'd be doing with the suppressor units. And this sort of just kind of helps the suppressor's survivability a little bit. For you can drop them down within 18 inches of the Librarian, but hopefully out of range of anything too serious, and hopefully like small arms fire, like more bolt guns, or Ghost Flayers if you're playing Necrons, or Devourers if you're playing against Tyranids, etc. But you can stick the Shrouding on the suppressor squads and then not have to worry about like maybe the bigger stuff. So say, I don't know why you'd waste a Doomsday Arc, for example, on a unit of suppressors, but you could easily put the Shrouding on this suppressor squad and it just keeps them alive for a little bit longer. It's quite good. So yeah. Right, let's move on to the second psychic power. So here we have Scryer's Gaze. It has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select a friendly Adeptus Astartes Phobos unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, you can re-roll failed hit rolls for attacks made with the unit's ranged weapons, and enemy models do not receive the benefit of cover to their saving throws against range attacks made by this unit. I think Scryer's Gaze will work really well on the Eliminator squads, especially with their executioner rounds being an AP -2 D3 damage, and any rolls of a 6 do mortal wounds. But if you had this ability onto them as well, not only are you re-rolling failed hit rolls, so you're re-rolling your 1s and 2s essentially, but then they don't benefit from cover, so then you're basically negating cover with a -2 to AP, so whoever's in there, even if they've got a 3-up save or even a 2-up save, then they've gone to a 4-up save with D3 damage. And if they've got a 2-up save, then there's a good chance they've got more wounds. And then if you roll a 6 on top of that and do mortal wounds, you're taking out Terminators, or at the very least maybe even Custodies, and that is pretty powerful. So yeah, Scryer's Gaze could be quite a useful psychic ability to put on the Eliminator squads. Next we've got Temporal Corridor, and it is a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select a friendly Adeptus Astartes Phobos unit within 3 inches of the Psyker. That unit can immediately move as if it was the movement phase. You cannot fall back as part of this move, and you must advance. When rolling to see how far this unit advances, roll 3d6 and discard the 2 lowest results. You cannot use Temporal Corridor on a unit more than once per psychic phase. I think there are probably 2 main uses for this Temporal Corridor. The first will be to jump on an objective, so if you're desperate and you've moved in the movement phase along with your Psyker, then you put it on this unit to get them onto an objective during the psychic phase. And then the second possible use for it is if, not necessarily falling back, but if you're coming to screen another unit. I don't know, say if you have a unit of the Infiltrator squads and you know your enemy, say they're playing Gene Stealers, the Gene Stealers are advancing up to take out your Eliminator squads, then you could easily, potentially screen, if you have a successful roll that is, you could easily screen the Eliminator squad and keep them out of combat maybe for another turn, to then use the Eliminator's shooting ability to take down, I don't know, a Tyrannofex or a Carnifex, Hive Tyrant, the Swarm Lord even. You can hit them bigger units, and the Infiltrator squad can just be sort of the fodder. Up next we've got Hallucination, which has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select an enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, subtract 1 from the unit's leadership characteristic. In addition, your opponent must roll 2d6 if the result is greater than the unit's leadership characteristic. Subtract 1 from hit rolls made from that unit until the start of the next psychic phase. I don't know how effective this psychic power could end up being, because if you're going up against units that big, large horde units, then they usually have some sort of fearless special rule. If you're going up against small elite squads like Custodes, for example, or Terminators, then you're not going to kill enough in the unit for really the leadership to play a part, because by the time the leadership starts playing a part, you'll have wiped out the squad anyway. So I can't really see a purpose for this, other than maybe if you are targeting maybe the elite units that can hit on 3s and knocking them down to 4s, or dampening say for example maybe a Cabalite unit and making them hit on a -1, hitting with less, and then when they're wounding you on 4s with their poison attacks, then you're dampening that. But really, I don't. This psychic power is very situational, in my opinion. Unless if you've got a solid game plan for it, I can't see it getting used all too often. Maybe if somebody just wants to throw it on and hope they get a subtract -1, but at the end of the day, I highly doubt it. Next up is Tenebrous' Curse, which has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select an enemy unit that cannot fly and is visible to and within 18 inches of the Psyker. That unit suffers a mortal wound. In addition, until the start of your next psychic phase, half the unit's move characteristic and the result of any advance or charge rolls made for it. This is a great psychic power to dampen assault heavy armies. Like, say if a unit of Gene Stealers are coming at you, they've got like an 8-inch movement, and then you can roll their advance, and they still have the ability to charge after that as well. So sticking it on something like a Gene Stealer unit would be absolutely deadly. Just nurse them right down, and then your guys can just stick a hell of a lot of fire into them for a couple of turns. It'd even go well against hordes, for example, like Orc Boys as well, slowing them down so that you can get more firepower into them. I can't really see you using it against any elite units, really, but those fast moving units, yeah, definitely brilliant power for that. And finally, we've got Mind Raid. Mind Raid has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select an enemy model within 18 inches of and visible to the Psyker. This model suffers a mortal wound. If your army is battle-forged and the model you have chosen was a character, then you may roll 3d6. If the result is equal to or higher than the model's leadership characteristic, you gain 1 command point. Again, I think this psychic power is again another situational one. It could be quite good if you need a quick mortal wound, if you, I don't know, you fail a smite, for example. But the amount of times a character is going to be the closest unit is probably very rare, unless if your librarian is in combat with said character. Then yeah, this would be a great one just to quickly go, Mind Raid, take a mortal wound, and now give me a command point, if I roll really. But the likelihood on 3d6, you probably will do. And then it could be nicely coupled with maybe hallucination at the same time as well, make him a -1, subtract 1 to hit. So yeah, there's some good synergy between Mind Raid and hallucination. Well, that's it for the Primaris psychic abilities. So I'll be looking at the Chaos psychic abilities in another video, so please check that out. And yeah, if you've liked what you've seen today, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on another one. Goodbye.